Welcome to Between the Mics podcast, where we will talk about anything and everything. Who knows? We might talk about sports games that we're watching, what's going on in our lives outside of podcasting and streaming, motivational things that we want to share, the live streaming that we're doing, the games that we're playing, and who knows, probably some tech. But all I know is that there will be lots of laughs and great stories told. Between the mics, you have myself, known as TheAwesomeDado online, or you can just call me Mike, and my co-host, known as Flinty Dog online, or you can call him AJ. We appreciate and are excited to have you here and joining us and listening to us as we take you through our chaotic mayhem of thoughts between the mics. Gang, welcome on into another episode of Between the Mics podcast. We have a killer episode lined up for you here today. We have the whole gang with us today. We have Gabs, Merc, and Flinty. We're all here. Boys, what is going on?
What's going on? Hey.
I am super excited. We have made a new friend. He has agreed to come on and be grilled by us four and try to not start too many controversial topics between him and Flinty and make sure that there's no bows or elbows thrown. But if you shut up, Flinty, no more. No, I'm kidding. But if you're on the Twitch, in the Discords, things like that, we're super excited to bring him in. He goes by Genreapa552 on the Twitch, but we're going to call him Nick today. Nick, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. You are one of the brave people that decides to come sit in this room with us.
I like the sounds of that.
Not a lot of people on the outside of the group really comes and sits with us anymore.
And we have to keep Flinty on a leash because if not, he gets out and about and just scares everybody away.
Whoa.
A little wild sometimes.
Oh boy.
Don't be giving out my secrets.
Oh, they're not secrets. You go into everybody's stream and just start shit everywhere you go. What do you mean? Secrets?
Yeah, that's about accurate.
But Nick, thank you again for coming in. And as we learn about you, I'm sure we're going to have some dumb questions. So we have a dumb question counter. I've reset it for everybody. Dado typically wins that contest of asking really, really dumb questions.
Normally.
Normally, right.
Pretty obvious questions, you'd think.
Yeah, you would think, but listen, you just don't know with me. Anything can happen. But
these are wild cards.
Yeah, right. He's just the guy that pushes all the buttons in the background, doesn't know what he's doing. Tell us a little bit about Nick. Where are you from? What do you do for work? Whatever you feel you want to share, we'd love to learn a little bit about you.
So I'm from the Finger Lakes region of New York State. There's 11 Finger Lakes in total, and I live right between two of them. For work, I am a member of one of these sheriff's offices around here. I've been a member for going on 8 years now. I've been in law enforcement for a total of 9 years. Did 2 years with the road patrol for a village I grew up in. Additionally, with the county, I did 2 years court security, and I'm also working on my doctorate in criminal justice right now.
Oh, wow. So busy.
Yeah, very busy.
What?
Busy, yeah, and you still find time to stream.
Doctor.
It's crazy.
Right. That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, you make me feel like I could stream more, Nick. Like,
well, that streaming is it's if you notice it's always 10 to 1, and it sometimes goes over 1 o'clock, and it's always the late night run when everybody else is on, but that's the time I can do it.
Yeah, I feel that. And for me, it's 10 o'clock simply because I got to put my kids to bed. And once they stop running around the house and being crazy, that's when I can sit down and actually hang out with you guys. So I completely understand.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like I've been married going on 11 years now, and then I have a 10-year-old as well. So, I'm busy during the day with my family stuff as well.
Wow. Wow.
Makes me feel lame because I had like the best schedule ever.
Yeah, you
Uh,
suck. Let me
I
tell
work
you.
I work 2 full days straight, and then I'm off 4.
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting though. Like, a lot of my friends are obviously in law enforcement, so they'll either do like our shifts are 10 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, whatever.
Mhm.
But on the other side of the coin, like some of the friends I've made on here that I run with, uh, they're either mods for me or that I run it with in the RP server are firefighters or paramedics. So they're running the 48s, the 96s, so they've got that schedule too.
Oh, I love it, and I would never trade it for the world.
I do have here comes dumb question number one. Chalk this one up. What drives you or anybody, I guess Flinty, you could probably answer this too, to do one of those jobs, LEO, first responder, and then want to role play it? Is it because it's a comfort level? I've just always been curious about it.
Well, funny thing is, I don't actually role play police right now. I'm probably the biggest jerk of a criminal in the city, which is fantastic. But what drives me to do this job is I'm third generation in this family. So my grandpa was chief of police in the village that my family's from.
Mhm.
My dad started there too after he got out of Vietnam, and then he went to the state police and was a sergeant. And he was the undersheriff. And in that transition time, like he was off for 4 years when he lost the election. I was going to college, then got married, had our son, and he was sheriff during that time. And then I went to the academy. So it was like looked at it as a family aspect. But then when I got onto the job and started helping people with their problems, victims of domestic violence, victims of people, who were robbed or stuff like that, that aspect really became important to me. And then when I started with the sheriff's office a year later, getting on the Marine Patrol, and our old sheriff, who's now retired, was a huge proponent of public relations. So when we go out on the water, if we see anybody out on their dock and they have kids out and we have whistles, we hand them out to them. If they have dogs out, we hand out dog biscuits. So that's a big thing for me, is the community aspect, and making sure, like, hey, just stopping. Hey, is everything going okay? Yeah, yeah, we're glad to see you guys out here. Oh, okay. Is there any problems that we need to talk about today? No, no, everything's good. Or, yeah, we've been seeing these kids. They must be renters. They've been, close to shore. Can you go talk to them? And it's just simple
Sure.
things like that.
Sure. That's one of the things I know in preparing to come in here and hang out with you today was a question of mine is the Marine Patrol. Can you describe a little bit more what that is to the audience? Because Gabs lives in Arizona. He doesn't know what water looks like because it doesn't
No.
rain there. So
He knows what
It's
dust
a
is.
very rare.
So I technically, beyond the 5 boroughs of New York City, land wise, my work county, because I live 3 miles from my work county is the smallest county in New York State, but it holds 3 of the Finger Lakes. And on our eastern side, we have one of the deepest ones at 620 feet deep.
oh wow.
Yeah. And we actually had a drowning there a few years ago. It was a doctor's student, and that's where he went, was 620 feet deep. Go figure. We had
Crazy.
we had to have the state police help us get him out. But so the Marine Patrol aspect of it is we currently have 7 guys. We start like we started the other day, me and another guy getting equipment around, but we'll start Memorial Day, work the weekends up until the last week of June, and then we typically work a 40-hour work week through Labor Day, and it's just there's always a crew covering the middle lake. That's the most populated and toured lake. The western lake is second to that. So generally you'll see crews out on those 2 lakes. And then the eastern lake, the deepest, of course, is the less toured one. But we just got a grant to be out there more. So there's going to be more hours out there.
Nice.
But as far as the Marine Patrol stuff goes, it's the same as the road patrol stuff. We're actively patrolling, looking for violations. When we stop a boat, It's like, do you have your registration? Do you have your boater safety card?
The
And
life
then-
vests and everything.
Yes, the life vest. So it's equipment, and it depends on the size of the boat. If there's like a jet ski, they have to have certain things. If it's just a kayak, then there's only a few things they need to have.
Sure.
The main thing that, even though we have a new sheriff, he's still on this statement, and our lieutenant is great about this as well. We only write citations on about 20% of our stops. So we really focus on making sure everyone is safe out there. And if they're not, then we just tell them, okay, you're done for today. We're taking you back to your dock, and you can either go and get the things needed to be out here safely, or you're
Sure.
going to have to wait.
Leaning more towards public education.
Yes.
What
And then
What
go
is the
ahead.
most common citation you guys see?
Life jackets.
Life
Ooh.
jackets?
Go
Not
figure.
enough life jackets or not wearing them. So I know in the state of Ohio, it depends on what vessel you're on and the size of the lake. Each requires your jackets or not. Is that what would be the citation, I guess, specifically?
The citation is for insufficient PFDs, so just not having them at all.
And now is it
You don't
still
have to be
the
wearing
number?
them.
There's certain conditions where they have to be wearing them. Like if it's a kid that's under the age of 12 and they're not in a closed cabin boat, then they have to be wearing them. This time of year, like up until May 1st, they would have to be wearing them if we were out right now. So like when we worked the eclipse, there was a family of 12 that was going out on the lake when we were at the launch, and we had to tell them to all put them on before they got onto the water. As far as the life jackets go, otherwise, the kayaks, the canoes, anything that's a paddle craft or a sail craft, they all have to have them on board during the summertime. They don't have to wear them, but we highly recommend that they do.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
100%.
It sounds like that's some bitty. Wow. There it goes. There's
Wow.
some busy waters. And I guess it could be related to what we would call watercraft here, as far as fish and watercraft. So you guys go out and you review the vessel safety and the requirements that are there. In lieu, we have it through the ODNR, the Division of Natural Resources, and it sounds like it's through the local police in your area.
Yep. So the state puts out, obviously, the law. Let me go back a little bit. So obviously, the Coast Guard has their own the rules and regs that they set out for everybody,
Sure.
like the navigation rules. The state copies that in a way, but allows you to reflect onto them.
Mhm.
And then we have the navigation law, and there's canal law, which we will be using more of this year, surprisingly. But we go through that for any kind of enforcement. And then there's some local laws, but really we don't use the local laws much because they deal more with like dock building and like noise enforcement. But if there's any kind of enforcement, it comes from the navigation law. And now, so the way our lakes work is the state law says if the county touches 1% of the water, you cover the whole lake. So
Oh,
two of our lakes are two different counties. So like the one to the east of my house, it shares my home county and my work county. So we don't cover the whole thing on a typical patrol shift, but if we're called down to the south, we will go down there.
gotcha.
Now, what do you prefer? The Marine or Road Patrol?
All Marine Patrol all day long.
All day long?
Now, is that because you get to deal with more of the community, or
It's partially that, but and not to get into the political side of things, but back in 2020, after the whole George Floyd incident, there was an increase in problems here in New York State. And then we had the Bail Reform Act, which came out, which really gave people more chances with getting out of jail and allowing them to commit more crimes. And I'm sure you've all seen this year we've had 4 line of duty deaths here in New York State, plus what is it, 3 officers injured in the line of duty. So we don't see that as much on this side of things. There's more traumatic injuries with things, especially with props on the backs of boats. But yeah, there's a lot more community on this side of things. There really is, and a lot nicer community on this side of
Right.
things.
So this is a good segue to a question I had in mind for you, because we all know your line of work is definitely tough, and I feel like when people apply for the type of work that you do, they're not really mentally prepared for the harsh realities of being an LEA. So, what mental checks would you say people have to do in order to be able to handle what you do?
So I think that's why PT is such a huge proponent in the academy, not just getting you in shape to do the job, but it also helps you deal with some things as well. I found that going on, like, I don't do as much running as I used to, but I found that going on walks helps me deal with things. But some of the mental checks really that people need to think about, and this goes back to a lot of training we do throughout the year, especially on our use of force and firearms training, is that you really need to, if something is just bothering you, like you went on a bad call, you need to talk about it. It doesn't
Sure.
matter. And this is what part of my dissertation is about, in my doctoral research, not really focusing so much on the symptoms and what police are going through, but
Mm-hmm.
my research is on, is there any kind of resistance that admins are facing when they send officers to that treatment, and are they having any problems getting them to the treatment, as far as getting resources. But the thing that I found in doing my field testing with with two sergeants and a sheriff was that the stigma that we had 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago for me coming out of the academy, was you have to be this big tough guy. You can't talk about things. If you
Right.
talk, you're weak. You're not cut out for this line of work.
Yeah, just suck
Right.
it up. Just suck it
Yeah.
up. It's the same mentality in the fire service. I mean, but you can contest on like some of the crap we have to deal with is not normal. I
It's
want to
not for the
say.
faint of heart.
No, it's not normal. Some things we see is not normal, but it's like, and it's interesting because one of the guys that I did interview is someone from my home agency, and we both agreed like this has changed. Like there are still guys who are like hesitant to talk, but there are people who are like, hey, this really sucked. Can
Sure.
I talk to you about it? And then be like, yeah, absolutely, we can have a conversation. And if there's anything further, there's employee assistance programs. There's you
Mm-hmm.
know there's plenty of confidential things where, and it's great because in my home county where my dad was sheriff, the guy who took over for him, the conversation I had with him was mind blowing because of the amount of resources that he has for his department. It's like if you go to one bad accident and you just are shaken up by it, that they can get you help immediately, and you might be off work for a couple of weeks or a month or something, but you're going to come back knowing that you can handle things better.
Yeah,
Right.
we have a program called the Fast Team, and any type of like bad call involving children or basically anything in that sense, they come in and they have all these resources available to first responders, everybody that was involved in the call, law enforcement, us, um, child protective services if they're involved or anything like that, and it's actually amazing on what's out there.
So I'm careful on this one. This just happened last year, and I don't know what the outcome is going to be. This wasn't our investigation. We assisted on it, but we had a kid, 19-year-old kid who he went into our middle lake, and this was in the off season where the water's still really cold, and he was doing a video and he did a backflip into the water, and certain circumstances caused him to drown. And the first day I wasn't there. This was on a Friday. The second day, Saturday, I was there. We were assisting for his recovery, and we did get him out. It was the fire department, and we were right in front. And my partner, he's a much older guy than me. I mean, I do hold seniority over him, but he's older. He's the type of guy, like, he spent 4 years of his life in the Air Force, working on the Minuteman II missiles.
Mm.
So he's got the nerves of steel. But that afternoon and the Sunday after that, it was just kind of like a hard days for both of us because it was, it's a younger person,
Sure.
and you see the things like the potential of life and just how much it was wasted and the whole FTO thing is still kind of new to. I mean, I've been training these guys for the last 3 years now, but it's still kind of fresh to me. So when that incident happened, I called him on a Monday and I said, how are you doing? And it must have been an hour-long conversation just talking about things. And, there was no negativity to take away from that other than just the fact of maybe next time, I don't know if giving enough space was the proper way to do it, but just, doing like the buddy check kind of thing. Like, is everything okay? Do you need to talk?
Yeah,
Right.
it kind of like the FTO kind of situation. I'm stepping in like leadership roles, and my roommate, he's a very young firefighter. Now, whenever I started back in 2013 in the fire service, 2014 ish, I was with all the hard headed, sink your feelings down into the darkest pit and forget about them. And the more time I've spent on the job doing it, I was able to help him because he's probably 6 months on the job, and he had a entrapment involving a child that unfortunately didn't make it. I was able to give him some steps on actually how to deal with it instead of like just suck it up, be a man and do it. Do the job, and it's kind of I wouldn't say weird, but it's basically a different step, and I'm kind of glad to be in that, like being able to help somebody because I know what it's like not to be able to talk about it.
Sure.
I think the biggest thing about that is like the whole suck it up, be a man thing. I see the viewpoint of that like when we're in the middle of a call. Like if something's going on,
Yep.
like that's
You
where the
handle
mental,
it.
yeah,
Yep.
you need to handle yourself right now. Like this isn't the time for this. And that's,
Right.
I don't ever have to get on my guys about that. They know. But if after a call, like if we're just going to get lunch or we're just, just shooting the breeze, then that's the time to say, okay, let's talk about it. How are you feeling? Are you okay? Like, is there something further we need to discuss? And
Sure. And
we've
it's
had
like
it.
go ahead.
I was just saying we've had a few incidents like that in the past few years, and it's really helped me grow as a leader in the FTO role because they've actually opened up about things.
It's a misperception of compartmentalizing your emotions. You have, like you said, you have to, in the moment, you have to act and you work and do what you need to do in the moment at the scene, incident, or whatever. But it doesn't mean that just because you compartmentalized it at that time, you can't talk about it later. And this was not planned at all, but this is a crazy segue that when this episode comes out, it'll be in the Mental Health Awareness Month. So May is mental health awareness across the board, but I work in construction and it's one of the big things that we focus on too, though we aren't saving lives like Nick and Flinty are, or protecting in the public, but it's still insane the amount of just bury it down, hide it underneath the hard hat. Nobody needs to know that it can affect your partner. It can affect your family. Something could be going on and it's okay to talk about it. It's just normalizing that fact. Sure, you have to find the right time to talk about it, but still talk about it. Find somebody. There's resources for everybody.
Oh yeah, the best way I could think about keeping like the head on straight during a call is it's not your emergency. I know it's kind of a bad way to look at it, kind of, but it's not your emergency. How can I help these people in the time of need? You can't focus on like, oh, well, this guy's arm's hanging off, or this guy just got shot, or something's going on. You have to be like, all right, what's my next step to get this person the help they need? And after the fact, we do hot washes. And that's the time we sit as a crew and we discuss. And if you have an issue, I know my lieutenants and my command staff are very, very good on just helping, I guess. They're like, all right, well, you need to sit down. We'll sit down and talk in private if you don't want to talk with the rest of the crew.
Sure.
And it's amazing.
I'm reminded of a call we had last year where so in between two of our lakes is an outlet, and the further east lake is connected to the Erie Canal through a series of different canals that go to the different lakes. So one of the biggest issues we run into with uh, the rain we get is that Middle Lake's going to dump all their water to the Eastern Lake.
Sure.
So there's one day this lady's out walking her dog along the outlet, and it's running pretty good. While the dog jumps in, she freaks out. Well, she jumps in after it. Go figure. The dog gets out, and she's clinging to a tree branch. Well, that's not too far from, going out into the middle of the lake and where it's actually 500 feet. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of the rare exceptions to our unit. There's only two of us that'll keep our portables on scan so we can hear the fire side of things, and you hear all the tones dropping, and you realize one of them's the dive team.
Mhm.
So it's like that adrenaline starts going pretty quickly, and we're moving our resources fast, getting out there. I mean, it was a 17-minute response time out there with everything going on.
Wow.
And I believe it was our OEM manager for the county was able to get her out without further incident. But with the fast driving, the tunnel vision, we had one guy who refused to pull over for our lights and sirens. And my partner's in the passenger seat. This is his second year on, and he's like, "Oh, we gotta address this." I'm like, "Nope, we're gonna move past it." And he goes, "We're not gonna get the license plate." I said, "Nope, we're going right straight through because it's a life or death situation." And at that time, when we came back through, we stopped to talk to lieutenants on, our sergeants on, and that's an issue we talked about. And that's something that they said, okay, that's something we can, put out to the community as a public service announcement. If you hear
Sure.
sirens or see lights, then you need to move over.
Right. People's lives can be at risk, so don't be a dick.
Yeah,
Right. I mean,
exactly.
Your
I feel like
Chipotle
that's-
order can wait a minute. Holy shit.
Yeah, people like to freeze whenever they see, cherries and berries behind them for some reason.
Not a hard concept though. Like,
I
come on.
don't know what it is. Nick, you could probably, second this. Like, as soon as those lights come on, everybody's like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
brains just turn off.
It's so true. It's so true.
I mean,
The other morning, I was responding to a motorcycle accident, and it's 4:00 in the morning. There's like 6 cars on the road. All of them got in my way. Every last single one of them.
Wow.
Well,
Hey, I got a question for you.
yes.
How does doing that every day affect you when you get home, your family life side of things? You have a hard time turning it off?
Now, when I first started, yeah, it was hard to turn this stuff off because you're bringing it home and you're like, I had this call today, or I was in a foot pursuit, or yeah, we went on a chase with the troopers, and this guy was an absolute jerk, and I just couldn't believe that he would not comply. And it's like, but then you see the effect it has at home. It's like you're more irritated, you're getting snappy quickly. So I guess my days at work are better. As I've gotten older, I've just come to realize, like, if there's certain things going on, like if it's a political thing and I just think it's absolutely ridiculous, yeah, I'm gonna talk about it, I'm gonna joke about it. Sometimes I do get irritated with work still, but most of the
Sure.
time the home stuff stays at home and the work stuff is staying at work.
And that's the
Right.
best way to do it in these types of line of work. I mean, you guys know I'm a goofy dude outside of work, but I wouldn't say an asshole, but I'm more, I don't know how to put it.
Rigid?
Yeah. Whenever I'm actually on shift, like I'm not, yeah, I joke around, I have a good time, but it's like I'm a different person whenever I'm out in the field compared to whenever I'm at home, because at home I can make the stupid jokes, but someone's life's out in my hands whenever I'm out there.
Sure. Sure. And the lighter side of it is this is what Mrs. Dado always makes fun of me. She goes, "You come home and you make 0 decisions." Well, I make decisions all day, so that's how I compartmentalize. Guess what? You're making decisions. I don't know what we're having for dinner. Figure it out. Okay.
It's your turn.
Yeah. It's crazy, and compartmentalizing that. And I know that you, Nick, said that you're going for your doctorate. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
That's fucking crazy.
That's insane. And you said criminal justice?
Yeah.
What inspired you to do that, or is there aspirations in your career further on that you needed that to become that position or whatnot?
So when I was in the academy, I was really impressed with how the emergency vehicle course went, and I wanted to teach that. Well, as time went on, when I got picked up by the sheriff's office to Marine Patrol, I was like, man, this job is amazing. How do I keep this job without losing it? Well, most of our guys are school teachers. In fact, 5 of the 7 are school teachers throughout the year. So, and when I worked for the village, there was a couple of issues with some of the troopers that we have that have moved on and retired, but just some ethical issues, and then obviously there's still some things I see from our cadets coming out of the academy. Like obviously, like our road guys take care of it and it gets fixed eventually, but it's just criminal justice education gets treated like, and I hate to say it this way, but it gets treated like the redheaded stepchild. Like, oh, you don't need this. You need to have a different type of education for a backup plan if you ever get injured in this line of work. Well, I mean, if you want to go to be a lawyer, or even if you want to do anything else, you ever take an introduction to criminal justice class, if you're someone that ever finds yourself on the wrong side of the law, even if you're wrongfully accused, it's good to know, what are my rights? How do I handle myself in a police interaction? Like, when do I call a lawyer? When do I ask, or when do I not talk? Stuff like that.
Sure.
So I think that just the important thing to me, not only just to keep this job in the summertime, but is also to educate students who are interested in knowing what their rights are and educating future cops that are going to be coming out.
When you say students, do you mean high school or collegiate, like college students?
It doesn't matter, because like I've applied for BOCES instruction, and I've also applied for university instruction. And of course, all have said you need your doctorate first. So we're getting there.
We're working towards it.
No, that's awesome. And I'm a firm believer that, and this is what I use with my team, I'll spend $100 now to save $1,000 later. And that's a very broad stroke to what you just eloquently described, Nick, of just learning now to protect you in the back end and making sure that we're all fair and equal to each other no matter what. As you go through that and being an educator, I know that in the beginning you stated that your grandfather was the chief of police and your father was in the state police. Do you have any aspirations to taking a higher role in the police department, or are you more focused on teaching and serving in that capacity?
Thanks, Dado. By the way, you just shot all my questions down the drain.
Uh-oh.
Ruh-roh.
You got to be quicker than that.
So where I currently sit in our seniority rank is 4th. And there's a couple guys that won't stay forever. Our top guy, so our top role now is the corporal role. Because it's not civil service, you can't be a sergeant, but that top role is corporal. And once he's gone, then the other guy won't be too long behind him. And the third guy, he's just like, he really is part-time. He just spends his summers really just working with me every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get to that top level at the corporal role, my goals and aspirations for the department are just the same, keeping the public relations role, but also making sure that our guys are, so when you come into the Marine Patrol role, you have to have the peace officer school, which we give our guys. And then within a year of that, and with COVID, there was some exceptions, but you have to go to Lake George for the Marine law enforcement certification course, which is a week, and then there's 2 other courses, the operator course and then the jet ski course as well. And then there's a slew of courses to take after that can wait. But just making sure, like, because in the past with sergeants that we've had, and they weren't bad, but it's just our unit came last for everything, for gear, for
Sure.
equipment, for everything. So it's, while I'm doing the schooling thing and educating students and pushing criminal justice forward with, and the biggest thing really is because my master's in forensic psychology is pushing the mental health stuff forward as well, is going to be making sure that my unit is, on its A game all the time. So if the sheriff calls me in or the lieutenant calls me in and says, all right, it's that time of year, we need to talk about things, the state's asking for stuff, what's going on, are we ready to go? Just making sure that we're top notch. And it's always been that way, but just really making sure that we're keeping that rep that we've always had.
No, that's awesome. So with moving the needle forward in a positive light, and I guess not to be punny, but servicing the community, that's pretty inspiring, honestly, that, everything that you're doing is what it looks and sounds to be towards a common goal of moving the community forward. When you're not in the community and you're at home, I know that you said that you've been married for 11 years and have a 10-year-old son. We see you streaming. What is your go-to game to stream to kind of maybe release and escape from your everyday life out in the community?
Right now, it's been Warzone, and I like to have Fortnite as my good backup. Either or is nice to have. I tried that supermarket simulator. It's not bad, but it's really slow for me. But I like to stay in motion, so I like anything that involves moving and shooting.
my
Move,
OCD
shoot, communicate.
it would be perfect for that supermarket simulator.
But the my ultimate goal with streaming is to get the content creator role with the Academy role play. So that would really move things forward for me.
Is that like one of the current things you're working towards?
Yep. So
currently?
like I said before, I do have one character in the city, and he's an absolute turd. So when I'm in city, generally one of my moderators, Schwal Nation, he's in the city as well, and we roll together a lot. I mean, we do everything together. We do construction together. If we're breaking off and not making money, we're going and robbing stores together. We're robbing houses. We're a part of another crew, but sometimes, like, it just depends on how we're feeling. We might do things with them. We might run off and do things by ourselves. And if he's not in the city, I might do things by myself. Like, I had a scene the other night with, I don't know if you guys know, Deputy Smitty.
Yep, sure do.
I wasn't really planning on doing anything that night. I just got my daily spin at the casino, and I said, I'm going to just fly up north in my car. I happen to see the police car sitting in the middle or in the median, and I just gunned it, hoping to get a traffic stop. And it went from there. And that whole scene was great. It was him and Burt Beats. And my MO, it's funny because my IRL MO as a cop is to be ethical and moral and to help everybody out. But when I'm in the city, I am doing everything I can to be a criminal. And every scene that I have been in with the cops, except for 2, has been I'm hitting them with something. And that's what happened to Deputy Smitty the other night, is I whacked him in the face with a pool cue in it. Bad ending for me. Very bad ending for me, but it proved my point of who my character really is.
Sometimes you just gotta whack somebody in the face with a pole cue.
Yeah, sometimes
That's right.
It's just the way of life sometimes.
Have you tried playing Ready or Not yet?
Ready or Not?
Yeah.
No, I haven't played that. No.
Have you played it, Mark?
I have not, but I'm really interested in playing. It's a police type game, I guess.
It's more tailored to what, like special
SWAT.
weapons and SWAT.
Yeah, I think so.
I've seen one of the guys that I follow on Twitch, Paul, he'll play that every once in a while. It's just interesting to watch because I'm sure, Nick, you go into the city and you're acting as a complete turd just to see and give these guys a run for their money. I can only imagine being on your end, or, Paul was in the military and making responses in these games of how you go, probably shouldn't have done that, but it worked out, I suppose.
The Geneva suggestion.
Yeah, the Geneva suggestions. I love it. I mean, but it's also interesting with the IRL knowledge too of seeing how some of these cops react to. Like there was one, and I'll never talk badly about a player. There was just one with a county unit, and he handled it pretty fast. And the charges that he booked me on, I was like questioning. So I'm like, I'm gonna play it out this way. So I asked for a lawyer, and the explanations I got, I was like, well, IRL, this would be way different.
Right. You should that's when you drop into your Twitch stream a link to your criminal justice class. Like I think you need a refresher, bud.
Well, and
IRL would be making big money.
Well, and I told, of course, Schwal was with me and he ran. Of course, he leaves me in the dust. Go figure. That always happens. But, and I'm telling my mods, my admins about that. And they're like, well, you should say something. I'm like, no, because like, this is how you build things in the city. This is how you build that RP and your character's motivation. Like, oh, you wronged me in this way. Well, now this is how I'm going to get you back.
Right.
There will be payback.
Mm-hmm.
See, I do kind of like watching those streams, like the role playing with the like the sheriff units and like different people in GTA and all that. I think some of that stuff is just fucking hilarious.
I like seeing how people handle themselves in very odd situations, to say the least.
Well, and that cops make the best criminals too.
Right.
They know what buttons to push. Burnt down.
Well, it's interesting. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say it's interesting too because like Deputy Smitty is one I moderate for, and getting to whack him in the face was funny. Trooper Slivers is another one that I moderate for, and I have not seen him or his criminal character in the city yet. So he's in for a huge surprise if I ever get to meet him.
He might get hit in the face as well with a pool cue.
Maybe.
I'm going to start putting a pool cue in my truck IRL just because it sounds like a good backup.
Sounds like it can do some damage.
Right.
So in regards to streaming, do you have like any big plans for it? Like any goals? I know you mentioned TARP, getting your content role on that, but what big plans do you have in mind in regards to streaming?
Well, I mean, everything's moved so fast since I restarted in February, because I started streaming a few years ago and I never had anybody but like maybe a couple people. And it was funny because my wife had said, it's hard to get started when you don't know anybody. Sure. And I'm like, that's a good point. So when I was moderating for both Smitty and for Slivers, they were really motivating factors for me to get started again. And then, there's other TARP streamers like Hammer and Courtesy Flush. And, so they were really people that I was inspired to follow. And the biggest thing for me that pushed me to get going again was getting this PC and then getting accepted into TARP. And I was like, okay, this is something that's feasible that I can do. But ultimately, I had gone for a BOCES job back in January, and I thought it was for sure, because when the principal looked at my resume and she saw that I was going for my PhD, like her eyes just popped out of her head. She was so impressed. And that it gives you that feeling like, okay, this is the job, but then never get called again. I'm like,
Yep.
I'm just going to start making my own way here, like doing my own thing. So I was surprised that in February when I started asking people, "Hey, would you be interested in like, I know that you watch occasionally. Would you mind moderating?" Yeah, sure. Oh, okay. And then it just built from there. And then it was like the last day in February, and then like that weekend in March when like I was getting rated from Smitty, and then Courtesy Flush brought in people from his Discord, and then that Sunday, Smithers and Slivers both rated me like within a half hour of each other. So that really started to build things up, and just the amount of support that I get from people in my community is just amazing. Like just the people that show up every night and just participate, whether it's just something random, like just some back and forth chatter, or just like encouraging me to do better in the game. It's really motivating to see, and it's pushed me to the point where I'm thinking that this is something that maybe in the future I could definitely do full time. I mean, I do it 5 nights a week as it is, sometimes 6.
Sure.
So
Right.
I was gonna say I'm always seeing you going live.
Yeah, I'm still, amazed by your streaming schedule plus everything that you're doing outside of work. And when you describe your community, I know that Gabs, myself, and Flinty, I'm not sure if Merck's had a chance to catch a stream yet, Nick, but your words of positivity aren't the three of us. We're the guys in there just starting shit.
Yeah.
well, hey, that's fun too, because it shows engagement, and that's what I like to see. Is I like to see engagement, and I've
I'm
we
always like,
had what's that?
I'm always the one to start the hydrate, so I'll tell you what.
Which is fun. It's funny as heck, and I got to be careful with all that soda. But I'm always encouraging, because we had some issues a while ago, and my one of my top admins, EG, he is like a brother to me. Like I met him through being a mod for Smitty, and we're like, you would think we were brothers separated at birth. That's like how close we are.
That's
But
awesome.
he came to me one night and he goes, "Hey, I noticed one of the mods left the chat. He goes, I just feel like maybe sometimes people don't feel like they're involved." And I'm like, "Well, what do you want to do?" He goes, "Well, I feel like if we invite them back in and try to make them feel more involved." Okay, you can do that. So we did, and that's the thing. Like, if anyone's ever in my Discord and they see my mod chat, my admin chat, my thing is like, I may get on people, but it's always in a positive way. Like, hey, let's make sure we're welcoming in new people. Let's push the Discord. Let's make sure people feel welcome in chat. And I said, let's make sure that our own mods feel welcome in chat as well. So because
Right.
I've had people come up and say, "Hey, listen, everyone's talking to each other, but I feel like I'm being ignored." Okay, I'll take care of that. And then the next stream, everybody's talking. So you can't run something like this without everybody. Everyone's not gonna be on the same page, but just everyone just kind of bonding together, and just a simple, "Hey, what's up? How you doing? Is everything okay?" kind of thing. Just starting on that level.
Sure.
Right.
It's the sense of unity from the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of
Plus-
crazy. It's kind of like between the mics bring people together.
Oh,
Yeah.
Little shameless plug
that
there.
was
Oh God,
cringe.
it was.
Waka
It was.
waka.
My medicine finally kicked in, so I'm kind of zombie.
Get him out of here.
But I think the biggest thing that one of the biggest things that my admin EG pushed the other night, well, it was actually last week, that you'll see now in the stream is that 988 number. And that's
Mhm.
on command, and that's also on a 10-minute timer, because I wanted to throw one of Metallica's songs, and I was told by my mods, be very careful because of the title of it. And I'm
Sure.
like, you know what? I don't care. I don't care if Twitch gives me problems from it. I just don't care, because it's a mental health topic. It's a song that James Hetfield put out to encourage people to go and seek help. And YouTube, of course, censored it. And I'm like, no, we're not doing this. We're pushing for people that if there's something wrong, they need to talk about it and they need to get help. So I
Absolutely.
played it, and he put the number in chat, and I immediately went to the website, kind of tried to make the best text message I could for the command. And every night, it's the same thing that Trooper Slivers does every single night. that's in there because you don't know who's coming in. And it's something I learned from Deputy Smitty too. He's got that, and he doesn't have that in his thing, but he's got a mental health page like I do. And I
Sure.
can't tell you the number of people who have either come in and said, "Hey, you've really changed things for me. My life is so much better because I watch you every night and it's positive," or it's, "Hey, I really need some help. I have a lot of issues going on and I don't know what to do."
It's just the offering. It's the extension of the olive branch. There's a saying in, you know, if people could pause and think this way, and I think everybody in this episode of Between the Mics podcast agrees with it, is if you can build a longer table, do so. Don't build a higher wall. An aspect meaning we're here. Talk to us. Come sit at the table. Tell me who you are. Tell me what you need. Because somebody did that for me, and that 15 minutes that person took that time to stand at the tailgate of a truck with me changed my life. Absolutely changed it. And that's all you need is 15 minutes.
Yep, I agree with that. Like, that's why, like, in my Discord, I have around the dinner table. I mean, I know I'm still trying to grow as a creator and everything like that, but that's basically what around the table's for. Because, like, you just in the fire service, that's where the problems get solved, is
Sure.
around the table.
I like that idea. I'm going to have to steal something like that and make that. I like that. But it's like the old, I mean, I don't know where everyone stands on faith, but it's like the old Christian faith. It's like you want everybody at your table.
Mhm.
I can remember that. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Chosen.
Have not. No.
It's an outstanding show on the life of Jesus, but it's basically in one of his sermons that he's giving is that, he's talking about the parable of the master invites people to the dinner and they don't show up, and of course the apostles are getting it wrong and upsetting other groups, but
Sure.
Jesus comes in and says, "We're not saying that this way." He goes, "I want everybody at my table."
100%.
Everybody's welcome.
So
Doesn't matter.
that's the message I try to push every single night. It's like someone comes in to, I mean, you always get your troublemakers. You get the bots,
Sure.
the bots that come in and push that stuff, or you get the kids that come in and just ask to play all the time and they push that. But everybody's welcome to come to the table. You come in, have a good time. We have some good laughs in there. We absolutely do. I mean, the hydrates are great. It's a good way to get people involved. I've got the soundboard effects now, and I know a lot of people get sick of hearing the Metallica stuff, but that
That's your mojo.
that's my hype stuff, and I think that introduction I did last night was only two people outside of my house knew that was going to happen.
Sure. Which I thoroughly enjoyed. That was amazing. And happy belated birthday, by the way. to
Thank
sir.
you.
100% happy belated. I unfortunately missed your stream last night, but I heard you whipped out the guitar, correct?
I did. So
Oh boy.
I copied Metallica big time, and I'm probably get sued for it by them, which whatever, I don't care. But
They want their 35 cents, Nick.
so what they've been doing, so I went and saw them their in theater concert last year because they had no concerts around here. But they start every night with "It's a Long Way to the Top," the AC/DC song. Then they'll play like the first minute and 48 seconds of "The Ecstasy of Gold," and where the lady like does the high pitch, like the highest she can do, and it cuts to silence. They'll start with either like "Creeping Death" or "Whiplash." So I was like, all right, I'm going to play 3 of their live songs. So I had it on my stream deck to stop Spotify, turn on my camera, hit start on YouTube with the space bar, and then just go. But I practiced all this without the guitar in my hands, so I was a little flustered at the intro.
It happens. um, I've seen the guitar in the background, so obviously I knew you played it, and we talked about it in your stream. Is that one of your ways of like escaping, the reality of things, or like decompressing?
Oh, absolutely. So I grew up in a not so good household, in two not so good households because my parents were divorced. My mom was the worst uh, towards me, and my stepmom wasn't as bad, but she was still bad. And my dad kind of like he was so busy with his life, he just kind of enabled the behavior. But um, Guitar Hero 2 came out, and my friend introduced me to it, and I was like, and I already played music in school. I played saxophone in band, and I was in the chorus, but I was like, hey, guitar looks really interesting. And it was in high school, it was Rage Against the Machine and Audio Slave were my favorite bands. And Rage allowed me to have an outlet that I could never have before of just, you know, pushing the envelope with the guitar and, and just expressing things that I couldn't express before. And then as time went on and I started working in policing, and I mean, I knew of some Metallica songs. I didn't know a whole bunch of them, but when we had Sirius XM, that's when I really started to get big into them. And it was like listening to James Hetfield's story about the things he went through with his mom dying, his dad leaving, when they lost Cliff to the bus accident in '86, and then just him talking about his problems with alcoholism and his sobriety, just like made me feel really connected to their music more. And like that became more of an escape, and it helped me deal with the things from my past that I still to this day kind of deal with. Um, but in a sense, one of the other bands that I play is Volbeat, and I love Volbeat's music. But that has no like emotional or mental attachment to it. That is like if I ever play that on stream, that is just music that is just pure enjoyment that I just love playing because it's just music.
You're just riffing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, do you play in bands or anything like that, or like
Uh,
music you'd like to share if you are in a band and you've recorded music?
I did one song in high school for like a rock and roll history class, and it was like a bluesy song, and I lost it long time ago. But no, not really. I think like me and a couple of friends did like two Rage Against the Machine songs for like we had this. There was a band in high school that was big in the local area, but it was like their breaking up party, so we did like two songs, and that was it.
Right.
It's still pretty cool. And you mentioned Volbeat. I only know one song by Volbeat. Can anybody guess which song that is?
No. I'm sorry. I don't.
Is it one of their older or newer songs?
Older songs.
Warrior Call.
I don't. Maybe I don't know. It's counting all the a-holes in the room. That's the only one I
That's
know.
still counting then.
Yeah, that's the only Volbeat song that I've ever listened to. But that's awesome. It brought a whole new perspective coming into your stream last night of not even just playing Warzone or Fortnite. Just there's somebody else. There's a whole nother part of Nick behind that screen and that mic that just brings more depth to who you are. Gabs, Merc, Flinty, anything else to add before we head out?
Oh gosh, let me look at my notes.
Oh shit.
Gabs
See if
actually
I have
wrote something
anything.
down for this one.
I did have one burning question.
Oh, boy.
Ask it. Send it.
Do they let you fish at work?
No, absolutely not.
Ah, dang
Are
it.
you a fisherman?
I haven't fished in probably 13 or 14 years.
Does it ruin it for you?
No, not really, because it's mostly the state guys that deal with fishing. We don't touch fishing licenses. But the funny thing is, every time I go up to fishermen, they'll put their poles away. So you always know. But we're like, hey, we're not here for that. But we are here because you are doing 65 miles an hour in a posted 45. So there's that problem.
Thanks for putting your poles away for me. I didn't want to get hooked.
We actually had an incident with that. One of the guys did get hooked because of a runaway boat, which was funny, but not at the same
Jeez.
time.
Oh.
It was funny after the fact.
It was funny after the fact. At the time, it was not funny.
One more question.
Yes.
Do the radar guns, do they work on water the same way they work on land?
Yes, they do. LiDAR,
Okay.
the lasers, you have to sit still, but the radar guns, yeah, you have to sit still with those too, but you can be a little bit in motion with them, and they're fairly accurate.
That's pretty freaking
I wasn't
cool.
sure if the water would interfere with it.
It Not really. Not. I mean, it interferes more with the laser than anything else if you're using the LiDAR unit. But the radars, it's good. We don't have any interference from it.
In other words, they'll get you even on water.
That's what I was just thinking. I'm like, great. Now my Google Maps on the water's gonna be like speed trap ahead.
Okay, I got another question.
A random speed trap in the middle of the water.
Right.
Now, the area patrolled by aircraft. Now, do you guys use F-35s or?
That's classified.
We can't talk about that.
I was like, I really hope everybody knows what I was talking about because it got awkwardly quiet right there.
We're all very curious.
Yeah, so like, are we gonna get shot down? Like, what's happening?
Stop speeding, Flinty.
We don't use it here because we don't have like interstate highways. But I will tell you that like if you go up towards like the city of Syracuse, Onondaga County has a police helicopter that they use for, and they won't. There's no shooting down. They just send it down to their guys on the road saying, "Hey, this car with this description is going 110 in the 75 zone."
See, I think that's cheating.
It is.
That's taken away from good police work. Okay.
If you can't see a guy that's hauling down the highway, you need glasses.
Right. Little funny story. My roommate just bought a new car. He hasn't even had it a full 24 hours. He just got pulled over yesterday.
That's awesome.
My goodness.
85 and a 55.
Jeez.
Good.
Oh man, just tell him to take that thing back.
Well, he's like, well, what's this sport mode do? Click.
Vroom.
Turn real sporty
Magically
real
turns on blue lights.
Yeah. He good thing we know all the sheriffs in the county, so he got away with it.
Jeez.
Yeah, rumor has it if you say sport mode in your mirror 3 times, there'll be cops behind you.
Little fun fact, I know we're trying to wrap it up here, but where the Merc Market and I are from, the sheriffs don't really do a lot of traffic. They leave that up to highway patrol.
Now you know.
The
Yeah, that-
more you know.
It's the
There's
same.
not a lot of them out here either. It's pretty wild westy.
Yeah, we have
It's
like 6
almost the
highway
same
patrol
here.
officers. And they cover well, I can't really say where, but they cover the other county and our county. So they're split up like 3 and 3, and they're usually really busy in the other county.
I think I saw a state cop last week.
I like how you can recall. You know how many troopers I pass in a day?
Let's just put it this way: where the Merc Market is at compared to where I'm at, we have 3 actual local like town cops here where I'm at. But where the Merc Market's at, you don't see anybody.
No, you gotta call them.
And they're still 30 minutes out. Oh yeah, but I will say, I will speak for everybody here. Nick, it was a pleasure talking to you, bud.
Yes.
It really
It
was.
really was.
Thank you again for your time and coming and hanging out with us. And as we look to end this amazing episode with you, and thank you again for coming in, we like to ask all of our guests, if you had to tell your younger self one thing, what would that be?
If I had to tell my younger self one thing, probably just being more vocal about things, especially like the mental health stuff. Just like talk about feelings and talk about anything that like if the past is bothering you, then talk about it. If you need to, seek out help, then go and seek it out, because it will affect your future, and it's something that whether you bottle it up now or you bottle it up later, it's still going to come back right at you. So it's always better to just talk about things, whether you think it's something silly or not.
Sure.
Just let it out.
Absolutely. And I feel like I can speak for everybody in the crew here at Between the Mics. That is a huge advocacy of us. And, Nick has an open door with inside his Discord. If you haven't followed or joined his community, check it out in his streams. I know Gabs, Merc, Flinty, and all I have always said, if you need something, please come to us. And with that, again, we appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out with us today in this amazing, amazing time with Nick. Check him out on Twitch. You want to drop your Twitch handle for us, Nick?
Yeah, it's where do you want me to drop it?
Vocally.
Yeah, just say it out loud.
It's Genreapa552.
Awesome. Thank you. And we wish you and your community the best of luck. Again, check out Nick, Genreapa552 on Twitch. Love to see you there. You could catch the Between the Mics guys there as well. Fellas, I know we have a fun announcement to make that our website is now live. So make sure you check out the link tree and come and see what we have to offer there. I do believe we have some merch coming out soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Again, fellas, thank you very much. We'll catch you on the next one. Love you. Bye.
Yeah.